Hey, welcome to the 98% Podcast, where we hear real stories from real people. And I'm here with a special episode called I guess a special recap episode. So it's been a minute. It's been a minute since we've done these. So we're going to be recapping episode 41 through 50. So if you're tuning in for the first time, at the end of every episode with the guest, I have them give the next guest a question. Then what I do is then at 10 episodes, when I get 10 episodes deep, then I recap those episodes and then answer their questions. So just to kind of keep you all along on the journey. So without further ado, let's get into these topics. Which it seems, I'm looking at some of these guests that I had on, and I realized how many episodes I had that were around Highland games and just band stuff and all this other stuff, because it seems like it's been so long since I've had like actual 10 new guests on. So, and this is a special one because this is the episode 50 recap, which I think being able to stick with it for 50 episodes and keep going. So it's one of those things like I really never quit anything, so I'm not necessarily surprised that I kept going, but it does fly by. It's crazy. So I've met lots of great people, had good connections, and I've just had a lot of fun hearing everybody's stories. Without further ado, let's get into the first one. So episode 41. So episode 41 is Tiffany. So Tiffany, she is on our group for Highland Games. So the Caveman Yeeters, I think it's what we decided to dub ourselves this time around. But her story was great. So I originally had Chip and Lane on, and they're both Highland Games people. And I remember Chip saying, you should have Tiffany on. So I decided to get Tiffany on. And she's awesome person. She is an amazing person. She's really sweet. She's kind. And she's been through a lot of tough stuff. So it was really nice to have her on and actually open up to share. Because I know she's a pretty private person. She said that in her episode. But the fact that she had the courage to step on and talk about it, I think was really awesome. So, because some of the topics, the loss of her baby and just lots of things like that. And just seeing how kind she is and how sweet she is, just even in the face of all that, it's really awesome. So I could, she thinks about everybody a lot. So her question that she left was, what are some small things that you do day to day that make a big difference on who you are as a person? So I think some of the little things is I say just a little conversations. So even at work, when I think about this, is like I'm a big believer that especially in like work environments, like a lot of us we get to work, we put our heads down, we accomplish things, we do the things, especially in office work, and we don't spend a lot of time talking to people. And talking to people is interesting because one, like if I'm going to be there all the time, like this kind of, this is kind of like your family away from home, right? So it's really important to have good relationships. So, and the connections and the way you build camaraderie and even like teamwork, like people don't realize, they underestimate that part of teamwork and stuff anyways, is that if you have a good relationship with someone, work is going to be much better because you're both going to want to help each other out in the process. If there's no connection there, then why should they help you? And some people will, but it's just one of those things. They're more likely to, and that's just a benefit of it, and that's not even why you do it, right? But I just think it's really important to just have conversations with people. So it could be just going into work, doing a little work, stopping by and just checking in. And it's not even stuff like, how's work going? It's like literally chatting like, hey, how was your weekend? And then just like really having a conversation like about like really getting to know the people. And I think that's such an important part that we don't do. And I think it's something small that we can do every day. It could even be small stuff like anytime I'm out, I always hold the door open for people. Small thing, but at the same time, you never know how that makes people feel. Smile. I always smile at everybody when I walk past. I just want people to feel, I guess, connection, love, I guess you could say. Because you don't know what people's lives are outside of that. And I think that's a really important piece, is just be kind to people, show that you care, even in the small acts, because you never know how they could it could affect people. And I think everyone doing those, what are those random kind acts, those acts of kindness, I think would definitely make the world a better place. So that's my answer to that. So thank you, Tiffany, for that question. So episode 42. So this was Dennis. So Dennis, he is a pastor. He worked with my dad during doing construction stuff, and that's kind of how I met him, was just through there. Uh, and then obviously I went to the church a couple times and saw him preach and stuff. And yeah, I just knew he liked to talk a lot. So I was like, yeah, let's get him on. Let's talk. And my dad was always like, hey, you should get Dennis on. I was like, okay, cool. Let's do it. Which is funny because he likes to talk, but at the same time, this episode was actually kind of short. It was like, I don't think it was that, like 30 to 45 minutes, something like that, which is kind of a shorter episode. So I was actually kind of surprised, but yeah, he had a good episode, and I loved how he deep dived into just like how his faith really changed his life, like his belief in God and just all those things, how it really impacted him in a positive way. And yeah, I just love that. And his question, I think, really deals well with that. Is his question was, if your funeral was a litmus test for your life, how many people would be there? And that's a tough one. I would like to think that there'd be quite a few people there. But if I want to get morbid, I'd be dead, so I wouldn't know anyone that would be there. But when you think about it, like from yeah, from a living standpoint, yeah, I don't know. I think there'd be quite a few people there. And I would hope there would be a lot of people there. I like to think that I've impacted people in a positive way. Um, and I know I have good friends. I've made a lot of acquaintances, family, and stuff like that. And I would like to think that I'd be really missed, and that people would, yeah, would just think of all those moments and memories that we had together. And because the thing is I have obviously the things I'm into, and sometimes I put my head down and focus on those things. At the same time, like, I hope everybody that I've connected with felt some type of connection or love from me. And I know some have told me that. I've had friends tell me that, and people, but yeah, I just want to leave the world a good place and show people that they matter. And yeah, so hopefully at my funeral that would be the case, and hopefully that's a long time from now. Hopefully it's not anytime soon, but yeah, that's a good one. So thank you, Dennis. Let's see, episode 43. So this was Jacob. Um, and he was also a Highland Games competitor. And he was recommended by Chip also. Chip, if he, he'll talk to anybody, and he hooked me up with a lot of Highland Games guys. Like, he was like, hey, you should talk to Jacob. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's do it. And it's funny because I didn't meet him, just Chip knew him. So I had him on, and I didn't really even actually meet him before. And yeah, he had a great story. First of all, like, I didn't like, because we were at the meet together and I was in a different class, I didn't really actually realize how good he was. And then, yeah, come to find out he's the number one amateur in the world last year. I was like, oh, okay, so he's really good at Highland Games. But his story was fascinating. So just first of all, like his grit and his determination just to like be good at something, but also like the struggles that he dealt with, like with Tourette's and stuff. Like that's something I didn't even know. And like he's talking about, he's like, yeah, I manage it well now, but it used to be a thing. And yeah, so just think about like OCD and Tourette's and things like that, and just seeing how far he's came and how much he cares for his family and things of that nature. That was a really fun episode. It was cool to see just like someone thriving in the midst of all that. And his question was, how do people change? And that's a very open-ended question, and I have some theories. And I think the one that I think's probably the most accurate, and is obviously not the most fun, is I think people need struggle in order to change. Unfortunately, I think that's just how we're wired. I think we tend to get comfortable, and we don't really, we get complacent, I would say, about things. And even complacency, I don't know if I agree with complacency. I think it's either you're kind of growing or you're dying. I think it's like working out. You're either getting in shape or you're not, and it's going the opposite direction. So I don't think there's any complacency. I think you're making a choice whether you want to be want to invest in or take away from. But unfortunately, like I think sometimes, especially big changes, which big changes sometimes are actually small changes, but big for us. Um, which I think sometimes comes from struggle. Like when I think about me, I think I was trying to do little changes here and there. But I think if I think back to all the times like I legitimately made a choice to change, it was out of hardship. I mean, going through divorce, I mean, that was the big one for me to change and just do almost a 180 as far as like learning about things, investing in myself, going to the gym again, finding things I enjoy. Like is a big deal, but it took that in order for me to change. Now, do I think you have to? No, I think you can change with just intention, but you have to be intentional about it. Like you have to really focus. And I think discipline's the key to that is I think you have to find something, aim for something you want to do, and then take little steps to get there and just stick to it. And I've seen tons of charts. You've seen them too, right? So motivation, unfortunately, is one of those things that you get really pumped and then it just dips. It just always does. That's why after any cool event or any motivational speech or anything that you go to where you just get this high and get excited, eventually a week, 2 weeks later, like you're just back to the same place. So discipline, right, kind of looks like this sometimes up and down, but it's the fact that you're doing it and taking steps every time that I think's the big key. So yeah, I think you could change without, but unfortunately, the way we're wired, I really do think that we have to have some type of struggle or event that gets us to change. Okay, so thank you, Jacob. Let's see, episode 44. So this is Stevie. Which so Stevie's was hilarious. So first of all, so I was at the airport and she thought we were supposed to meet a week early. So she hops on or she texted me something and it was just like this random text that I was like, okay, yeah, I guess she's excited for next week. Cool. And then I get to thinking about it. I'm at the airport. I'm like, I think she's gonna hop on now. I think she thinks that the thing's now. So I hop on and I'm in the airport and she's like, okay, ready to go. And I'm like, it's next week. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. And it was just hilarious. So that was a fun kind of introduction to that. But yeah, but her episode, she's a musician, she sings, and kind of how I stumbled across her is we went to school together, just briefly, and I didn't realize it was only briefly, but yeah, we were friends on Facebook, and I saw one of her performances, and I was like, "What? She sings?" I had no idea. So that just kind of got me thinking about like just having conversation, and was like, "I would like to be on the podcast." So kind of having her on, and yeah, hearing her story too about just kind of dealing with, she dealt with depression and, some lots of heavy stuff and anxiety, but the way she kind of functions through it and kind of thrives through it is it's cool to see kind of that even though it's difficult, she still does it, right? So she still performs even though it can cause a lot of anxiety. And yeah, so it's cool to see it. I've seen it firsthand, uh, kind of working on a song together and hearing and seeing her get nervous about sharing. And it's fun. It's like, it's one of those things. It's like, it's actually beautiful to see because I love when people get out of their comfort zone and do things like that because like, I have no judgment and I just think like, I know that was hard for you and I'm glad you did it. So there you go. But yeah, great episode. So her question was, if you could go back in time to the most difficult time in your life, what would you tell yourself? And I've said this plenty of times in the podcast. Most difficult time in my life was my divorce. If I could go back in time and what would I tell myself? I would think I handled it well because I started doing a lot of good things. But I think what I would say is I would tell myself that give it time. It's going to be okay. Continue to feel and just you're going to do great things, right? And I think I'd try to encourage myself and just be there for me in that moment. And maybe it, yeah, I mean, I'd say that, but then at the same time, like maybe it more just being there, just being there to listen. Maybe that's the thing. Is just I'd go back in time and say, hey. tell me what you're going through, and just being an open ear. Because I think that's what I needed, especially in that moment when it first happened, was just communication, talking to people. I did talk to some people, to kind of help me through it, especially at the beginning. But um, yeah, it was a tough time. But yeah, I guess going back and saying that, even though this is difficult, the man you're going to become at the end, it's going to be worth it. So that's what I would tell myself. So Stevie, thank you. Let's see, Ethan. So this episode 45. So Ethan, I went to school with. So how we knew each other is we did hurdles together in school, and he was a couple grades below me. So I was kind of like so it was kind of fun because I felt like I was kind of like coaching, right, coaching him and the hurdle squad, especially my senior year. It was a blast to do. Um, but that's how we met, and then we would hang out and do stuff from time to time. But for me, it was just like I just hadn't heard from him in a long time, and I'm actually drawing a blank now on how we reconnected. I think maybe said something on social, and he actually I think that's what happened. Is I sent something on social, and he actually responded. And I guess he's never on social, so it just kind of worked out. And I was just like, "Man, do you want to hop on the podcast?" Um, and yeah, he did, and it had been like super long. It'd been 10, 15 years probably since I actually saw him. So it's cool to just reconnect, and we've still texted back and forth a little bit. And hopefully, we'll get to hang out sometime soon in person because yeah, he moved to Iowa area where I moved from to Kansas City. So if I would have waited a little bit, we would have lived in the same little city there for a while, which would have been funny. So kind of a small world. But the funny thing is too, is one of these guys, I'm trying to get him on the podcast, this guy named Austin. He's a military guy too. And he was one of the friends I made during my divorce, just an awesome dude. And found out both of them, like at the base, like they knew each other somehow, like just to see each other, not like knew each other. I was like, what are the odds of like two people I know in Iowa happen to be at the same base and have seen each other around? It's wild. It's like it's so weird. But yeah, Ethan, he talked a lot about the military stuff and just kind of dealing with a lot of those issues, but also dealing with addiction. I think was a big topic of his, just how he's kind of managed that, and just seeing that he's got a wife and kid, and it's just beautiful to kind of see. So his question was, if you could describe yourself in a single word, what would it be? I don't know. I don't know if I could describe it in one word. I have a lot of little words that would be good describing words, but I don't know. There's the first word that always pops to my head is resilient. Um, I feel like that's true. I feel like we'll go with that. We'll go with that. I mean, love is my favorite word because I think that's a crucial part of it. But I think to describe me, I mean, we could say love because I do care about people, and that's most meaningful thing in my life. But I think resilient is a good one. So because even though things happen, I tend to bounce back and try to keep a positive attitude. So I don't know. I don't know another way. So it's one of those things like, when something happens, it's like I'll always show up positively for friends, family, whatever, do my best. Sometimes I'll be quiet and to myself. And that's sometimes how you know that I'm going through some stuff. Um, but yeah, I just always try not to lose parts of me, right? So I never want to be guarded. I never want to be like, even when I think about relationships, like even breakups and all this stuff that kind of suck and I hate it. I still try to go all in every time, even though I know it's going to hurt, because I feel like it's the right way to do it. I don't think people should give part of you, or a guarded version of you, because I think part of like being vulnerable, like part of love is being vulnerable and actually sharing and connecting. And it's really hard to connect when you have a guard up. So that's me. And I just try not to let it, I'll take my time between relationships and feel better, but then, just try to make sure that I show up in a good way. So I try to do that for friends and everything, no matter what's going on. So, yep. So thank you, Ethan, for that question. Let's see. Episode 46. This was Ricky, so not me, another Ricky. So I knew him through my dad. So I know he worked with my dad a bit. I know he worked out with my dad. And that's kind of how I knew him. I remember the only thing I really knew about him is we had a game night, and that was interesting. We played this game and we were all playing and trying to figure it out. And I don't know if he even really liked the game, but we played quite a bit. But but yeah, that was it. Just one experience essentially. But I just remember seeing him post all the time, just like these motivational things, because he does motivational speaking, and just thinking like, like I don't know that he had a good story to share. So I just reached out one day and see if you want to do it. And he was like that, like on it right away. And it was awesome. So, but yeah, he's got a fascinating story. Like, and it's still, I think, one of my favorite episodes to date, just because of how much that he's gone through and like what he does with it now. So, cause he uses all those stories now to help other people that are going through it. Like he goes to jails, schools, all types of stuff and teaches and helps people out. And, he went through a lot of stuff. He went through heavy addictions. He went through the passing of his son, to suicide. He just went through a lot of different things. So the fact that he made it through all that and is using all that to help people who are maybe going through similar things I think it's huge. I think it's an amazing thing that he's doing for people. So his question was, what is your why? And it's funny, I got this from Joe, I believe, episode, I could be wrong, 12 maybe. I think he had the exact same question. So, what is my why? So, I'm curious if it'll line up the same way when I watch that one. But yeah, my why is, which I think I've said it, is I want to bring connection into the world, right? So like I feel like we are very disconnected these days. And I noticed when I was going through hardships of how disconnected things were, especially when I was trying to find people to connect to or to talk to. And it just seems like everybody's on their phones. It seems like all I see is the top 2% of what everybody's going through. The exceptional, right? Either way, good or bad. And then it's like it just feels like you're behind, like you're not where everybody else is, or you're just not really understand, like you feel like you're the only one going through stuff. And I think that was an important thing that I wanted to crack. And as I started talking to people, I started to realize like, man, everybody's got these awesome stories that they go through, but there's not really many platforms for people to share this stuff, because we all want to be polished and we all want to show up and, not have flaws and stuff like that. And the fact that, that people share this stuff, I just want to create a platform for that, just for people to share. So then people who tune in can connect with people's stories. If they're struggling with something that somebody went through, and now they know that, hey, there's a way through and there's somebody who went through that exact same thing and that can see me, can hear me, right? That knows that I'm not the only one. And I think that's important. So that would be my why. Um, just in most of the things that I do. Other than that, like, I mean, I guess even in the creative stuff I do, like, because like I like to write songs about anything I like to create, and it's always for people's experience. Because even the stuff, even when I think about it, it's like, yeah, I like to create things, but I like to create things that are cool for people to listen to or for people to see, right? So people like for people to enjoy. So I think at the end of the day, I think that's kind of it. Is like for um, yeah, I do things to connect with people. So yep. So thank you, Ricky. Okay, so episode 47. So this was Jody. So Jody, we went to high school together. We were in the same grade. Um, she, let's see, um, we hadn't connected a whole lot. We reconnected. When did we reconnect? I can't remember if it was on social or if it was at one of the DMAC things, um, or something. I don't remember. We connected somehow, and yeah, I just remember like, like she'd been doing fitness stuff and all that. So I thought like, oh, okay. So, being health conscious, et cetera. And I remember at DMAC, this is a foundation that we go to every year. We were chatting and we were talking about, I was like, hey, I had to set up the 15-year reunion. She's like, I didn't get it. I was like, no, I sent it to you. And of course, it was in her inbox. So we decided to create a page. So we created a Facebook page for all the alumni from 2007 from our grade so we could stay in touch and connect. So, and kind of through that, we talked a little bit. And then I was like, you know what? How would you like to be on the podcast? And she probably took the longest out of anybody on the podcast. Like, I'd been talking to her like from the early days, like, hey, do you want to hop on? And she's like, sure. And then we just couldn't coordinate a date, and then things came up, and then finally I got to get her on, and it was a good episode. It was nice hearing her chat, um, just kind of about the stuff she's been through, kind of what it's like having a husband in the military, and um, raising kids and stuff like that. And it's just been it was a good episode, and seeing like just the health, and I think also one of the topics thing we talked about anxiety quite a bit too on that, and it was a really good episode. But her question is, what does connecting to another human mean to you? I think it means everything. I think because you weren't put here to be alone. And I know sometimes we like to be alone because it's safer sometimes because, we have the comfort of whatever we're doing, but it's what we want, but not what we need, right? So we tend to gravitate towards comfort. And I think that it's important for us to connect with people. And I think that can solve most things. It's just that connection and feeling a connection with someone, love from someone, feeling needed, valued. I mean, all those things mean the world to everybody. And I think that's important that we don't lose that because, I mean, think about it. Like, mental disorders, a lot of mental disorders happen in isolation. A lot of these things happen in isolation because there's no one to regulate with, co-regulate, or there's no one to connect with. So I'd say connecting to another human, what does it mean to me? It means everything. I think it's what we're put here to do is help connect with each other and make the world a great place. So yes, thank you, Jody. Okay, episode 48. So this was Cadence. So Cadence. So she was another Highland Games competitor. I met her in Buffalo, and because she was hanging out with Chip at that time. So, and I just happened to say, hey, how's it going? Whatever. And then I remember on social, so we were friends on social, and I remember her posting like this image of her with a brace on, like just talking about how she like maneuvered through this, et cetera. And I've been like, whoa, she's probably got a good story. So I reached out, asked she wanted to be on the podcast, and she did. And she's a little introverted, so I was glad that I got her on, and yeah, she got to share her story, and yeah, her story was wild. It's just like, horseback rider, and then she just had this accident that just fractured her back essentially, and she just had all these issues, and it was like a big recovery and trying to just figure out how to mentally get through that. And the fact that she wasn't paralyzed, right, I think is a big deal. But like, it sucks being able be doing something you really love and then having something bad come from it, and then just trying to like basically having your life kind of swept out from under you, and then trying to figure out how to cope with the stuff. So um yeah, it was a good story. So her question was, what advice are you good at giving others that you need to take yourself? Um, I think one thing I tell people a lot is I talk about journaling a lot, journaling and meditation and all these things about how important it is. Which is funny because it was really important to me at a specific time in my life. Like, that was some of the things that were keeping me going, was being able to meditate and be able to sit with myself and my thoughts, and be able to just kind of compartmentalize, like when things would pop up, be able to like, okay, thank you. Okay, let's move that aside. Okay, thanks. Okay, so to really know what was on my mind. And then journaling was the other thing, because like when I was struggling, it was just nice to journal and almost be your own therapist. And I thought that was really important. Helped me navigate a lot of stuff. So I talk about that all the time, but I actually rarely do that anymore. And I don't know if it's good or bad. It could be good for the fact that maybe I'm in a place where I don't feel like I need to do that, but also could be bad for the fact that maybe I'm just not doing it. Maybe I would benefit from doing it. And so I'm a big ambassador for meditation and journaling, and I will tell people to do it all day long, and that it's helpful. But yeah, I haven't been doing it much lately. So I'd say, I guess that would be some advice that I should probably start taking, that I would give to you, is journal, right? Get what's out here out on paper. And the way I like to do it is you write down what the struggle is, and you don't have to be PG about it. Just write down how you're feeling. Just do it. And it's going to sound harsh. It's going to feel harsh. Then after you're done, then you answer it and you think, okay, if this was my friend going through this, how would I talk to my friend? And then you write that down and you realize you'll be very kind to yourself. Um, a lot kinder to yourself than you would otherwise, right? Because we tend to do that for people. Like we'll be really kind with others, but not necessarily kind with ourselves. So yes, do that, and I will do it too. Okay. Thank you, Cadence. Next one is episode 49. So this was Liz. So she went to college with my ex. And that's where I met her because they were both in the music department. And the thing I remember about her is I just remember her being really funny, like just all the time. So she was a singer, so she was a good singer, and I remember that a lot because of the music stuff she did. Because I also liked music, so we had a lot. Cause she wrote songs, I wrote songs, so there was definitely some stuff in common. But yeah, she was just funny. I just remember that and just laughing. But yeah, I hadn't talked to her in forever, and then it was actually my ex that just hung out with her after a long period of time. I was like, "You should have her on the podcast." I would watch that episode, and I was like, "Okay, well, let me get her on." So I reached out, and she was up for it. Little did I know she already ran a podcast and she did all this stuff. So what I remember from her episode is that like it was fun because she was very animated. You could tell she used podcasts. So it was just a really fun back and forth between the two of us. But I liked having her on because, she is she was a really devout Christian, and then she started kind of deconstructing what she believes. So that's why her episode is called Christian-ish. And it was a really fun episode because I think too, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I think sometimes people can get in that mode of like thinking like, ooh, well, that's lukewarm Christianity, or that's not good. You shouldn't be in that state. But I beg to differ. I think it's important for you to wrestle. What I got here? We who wrestle with God, Jordan Peterson book. I need to read that. But but no, I think it's important to wrestle with those ideas and those concepts and your beliefs, because if you just believe because that's what you've always believed, or that's because what your parents believe, do you actually believe it? Right. And I think you'll find out when you're tested. And I think belief also comes through action. So that's why I think a lot of people's words don't line up with their actions, right? Like, oh yeah, I'm a Christian, or I believe this, but then at the same time they will totally do some stuff that you're just like, whoa, hey, let's relax a little bit, right? But I think it's because it's not actually rooted. It's not something they actually believe, right? Or maybe they believe out of fear, right? Which is very common, right? It's very common to like say, hey, if you're this way, you're going to go to hell, or you're not going to get into heaven, or that whole thing. And I don't really dig into those two parties too much. I have my things about that I don't necessarily know if I agree with. Either way, whether it's true or not, as far as heaven and hell, I don't think it matters that much. I think it's important to bring heaven on earth, and I think it's good to connect with people and love one another. I think it'll all work out just fine. So for me, it's like, I think when you can wrestle with those beliefs, wrestle with Christianity, with those things, and actually come to that conclusion yourself, I think that's important, right? And I always tell people, it's like when people ask me if I'm a Christian, it's like, yes, but kind of open-minded, I guess. Like, I believe it's part of the equation, maybe not the whole equation. Some people might not like that, but it's like, but I'm open. Like, I'm open. Like, if I get new information that I agree with, I will gladly accept that. And I try to keep myself open to that. But there's certain things that I don't know if I agree with or that makes sense to me. And I want to focus on the stuff that does make sense. And I think regardless, I think it's, if you can walk in love, and I think the end of the day, I think Jesus is a template, right? So when people talk about that, like, I think he was a template of what a good person should be, right? And I think that should be the standard that what we live to, right? And I think that's important. So like, if we think that way, I think that's fine. And I don't necessarily think, and I don't know, I just think that that's how it should be. And I think a lot of churches miss that point, right? We start to get in these little boxes, or we start to think these certain ways. You have to do this or do that or do this. But I think it's really important that and I just think you're missing the picture, right? Like, I don't know. That's just my thought on it. So I really liked having her on because I think it's a really cool thing to wrestle with. So I don't think it makes anybody less or more, but if anything else, I think it gets you closer to believing what you believe and being okay with it. And I think that's the big part. So her question was, what do you think makes up a fulfilled life? Um, Makes up a fulfilled life. I think I've said it plenty of times so far in this episode is just helping other people. I think that's part of it is do the things you do impact people in a positive way? Because I think helping others does give us a sense of fulfillment or satisfaction, no matter what way that is. But also doing some things that you enjoy. So for a fulfilled life, so I think it works twofold. So do the things you want to do, and that doesn't mean you have to quit your job and be an influencer or whatever. Like I think we got this all backwards on those things we do. I think you can still work, but just find ways to do things you enjoy. If you like going on vacation, go on vacation. If you want to learn an instrument, right? Find those opportunities to be creative. Like for me, it's like finding creative endeavors. But then it's also, yeah, helping people and learning things and growing and I think all those things kind of live to be like fulfilled, right? I think you can live a fulfilled life by doing that. And I think if you're not feeling fulfilled right now, then I think the important part is find something you enjoy and find something that serves other people. I think if you don't know what you want to do and nothing feels good, I think even being able to serve others in some form or fashion, I think will bring some fulfillment, some satisfaction. I think we're wired that way. And yeah, so I think that's an important piece. So thank you, Liz. Okay, so the last question. So episode 50. So this was Roz. So I was trying to get Roz on since like episode 19, I believe. Um, just we had the band together and we were chatting and Roz came up and I was like, dude, I haven't talked to that guy in forever. And he played in a band. I played bass with him for a couple shows, just for fun. And then he saw some of my gigs and stuff like that. And we chatted for a bit and then it just kind of faded out. Life happened and then it got brought up and I just reached out to him and we just chatted. Man, I remember we chatted quite a bit when we first started connecting. I was like, let's get on the podcast. And yeah, it just didn't work out. And I know he really wanted to do it in person, but with just the way things were going in my schedule now, in person is not doable like it used to be when I was in between jobs. So we do it virtual now, and there's just better editing tools now too by doing it virtual. So talked him into doing it virtual. Um, and it was good. It was good to get caught up. And, like he was big about like, do the things you want to do, regardless of how of what people think about it. I think that's important is like, he's always done his music and regardless if people like it or not, he always does his music because he enjoys his music. I think that's important, right? He likes his movies and his cinema and stuff like that. Doesn't matter what other people think. He just wants to do it. And I remember he went through, some bullying stuff too. And just seeing how he came through that and just kind of the way, um, you know, he operates and stuff. I think it's just good. So I'm glad I got to get him on the podcast and yeah, it's been fun to chat. So his question was, what way do you expect your passion to inspire others besides just yourself? So yeah, what way do you expect your passion to inspire others? Um, well, passion is contagious. I know that because when I used to work with Nike and I would train and teach people things, I would always come from a passion lens because I was passionate. I really liked the stuff and it would always come across when I would talk to people. And before you know it, it would inspire people to be like, whoa, I want to learn more. So then I'd have more coaching sessions with them about stuff. And I found that that's pretty true about most things is like when you start talking to someone about something you're passionate about, like people like to hear the things you're passionate about. I think that's extremely important. Um, and yeah, so my thing is like, I want to inspire people to like to be passionate about find stuff they're passionate about because I think we lose that. That's why one of the questions of the podcast is what are you doing for fun? Because the older we get, the less we do fun things for ourselves, and we can lie to ourselves all day. I did too for a long time. It's like, what are you doing for fun? Oh well, I don't have time for fun or all this. I gotta take care of kids. I gotta do this, do this, do this. And I get it. And it doesn't make it easy, but that's still, you gotta find something that's fun that you enjoy. And when you do, you will realize that you've been missing it. And I think that's the important part is you don't know what you got until it's gone. Just that was a quote, but you know, you really don't know what you're missing out on until you have it. I mean, I realized that right away when I started working out again. I took like 6 years off. The minute I got into the gym, and if you had asked me during that time, like, how are you? I would have said, oh, I'm great. I'm fine. Everything is awesome. But it wasn't until I worked out again where I was like, wow, I've been missing out on this. Why in the heck did I stop? And I think it's like that with most things. And I think we lie to ourselves. We justify it. We're too busy. We got all this stuff, but make time for the things that you like to do that are passionate. It's not like you have to take hours to do it. Give yourself 15 minutes, give yourself 30 minutes. Like just do things you enjoy because it's going to make life more enjoyable. Because at the end of the day, we need to enjoy life. Like, yes, we have things we need to do. Yes, there's struggles and stuff sucks and we go through all these things, but still, we can always choose to have fun and do things that are fun. So find that thing. So awesome. So that was all 50 episodes, 41 through 50. So one, I want to thank you all the guests for just hopping on here and being authentic and sharing your stories. I think that's an important part of this podcast. I'm so glad that y'all did it, and I couldn't do it without you. Um, and then, yeah, it's so feel free to take these questions. Why I do this is because I want you all to, I don't want, I want to take you on the journey with me as well. And with all these guest questions, right, it's always giving me new things to think about or new things to talk about or to ponder. And I think that's an important piece. So feel free, ask yourself these questions too. I think one way to kind of learn about ourselves to ask ourselves question, right? When you get to know somebody else, ask them questions. When you want to know you, ask yourself questions. Um, and answer them to the as honestly as you can. I remember being so bad at answering questions. And it's because when I think about it, I kind of lost my identity to a certain extent because I wasn't big on self-reflecting. And like, so if you'd ask me about to self-reflect or give me a question, I would have all these vague roundabout answers and who knows, it might still be like that at times, but it's better now. And it's because you have to ask yourself questions to understand yourself. You don't realize how little you know about yourself until you start doing it. So um, yeah, it's important. So thank you all for tuning in. I know this is a little late because I think we're on episode 53 now, I believe. But yeah, so I'll keep doing these. So let me know in the comments your answer to some of these questions. And yeah, I guess until next time. And so that'll be 60. So we get to episode 60. I will do some more recapping. So thank you all for tuning in. I'll catch you all in the next video.